Welcome to another episode of Behind the Geeks. This is the March episode. Andrea and I have been chomping at the bit for this one. I think this is one of the ones we circled on our calendar when we started planning, wasn't it, Andrea?
Oh yeah, yeah. This one is
Awesome.
exciting.
I want to say hi to a couple more people that have tuned in. We've got folks from all over the globe again. We knew this was going to be a good topic, so especially given the global audience that is showing up. Kevin from San Diego. We got Aaron from Boise, Idaho. Debbie from the Alfred Ashley Group in UK. Quite a few UK folks on there. Robin Grayson, my man, tuning in as well from UK. So we got Largo, Florida, South Africa, Venezuela, Wisconsin. I think Ernst is from Rotterdam. I think that's somewhere in Scandinavia, but I'm not quite sure. And Tom Fox tuning in from the Midwest here in Detroit City. Glad to have you, Tom. Appreciate all of you folks tuning in live. This is going to be a good one. Going to be a good one. Since you folks are tuning in live over on YouTube, while you're here, before we get started, I want to see a bunch of thumbs up on this video. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel while you're here. I've been forgetting to do that at the beginning of these shows, so I didn't want to forget. We're going to full stop go with that right from the beginning of the show. Douglas Goglio tuning in from Baltimore, Maryland. So, folks, if you have questions on this one, we want the questions too. So we're going to be drilling and bringing all kinds of questions to the fore that we've been getting. But if you have a question, type in the letter Q : and ask your question in the comments. I'll go ahead and flag those. Andrea will keep me guarded to make sure we don't forget any of those questions as well. I thought Ernst was from somewhere over the Netherlands. I was in that ballpark. So glad to have you on, Ernst. It's probably late afternoon for him, I think. And Daniel Dainty tuning in from the UK as well. We always get a strong UK contingent, which is awesome. We
That's
love
great.
all of our tribal friends, but our UK friends seem to show up. And I think that it's also in person. They love the in-person. So, but we got a good one today. So without further ado, we're going to jump in and talk all about direct mail. Our guest today runs a current MSP, but he's also been very successful in doing direct mail for his company, and he also helps other MSPs with direct mail as well. So please help me welcome to the show my friend Jim Stackhouse. Jim Stackhouse is in the house. See, we're going to do all kinds of puns today. Jim is going to be stacking value in the house. Jim Stackhouse.
Yes.
right.
So,
Welcome.
there's bad dad jokes, I think. As older we get, I'm like, my
all
son
good.
would be like, that's lame. But we're glad to have you on the show today, Jim. So thanks for hanging out with us. We've got quite a few questions that Andrea and I came up with. But if you folks have questions and you're tuning in live, type those in the comments for us as well. Andrea's going to go ahead and kick us off. We're going to go ahead and rapid fire mode to get as many of these direct mail questions that we possibly can answer. So I'm going to let Andrea take it away from here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jim, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. And right out of the gate here, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about you and who you are as a human, and what qualifies you to be here today to talk to us about direct mail. I've heard you're quite the expert, but tell us a little bit about what makes you an expert in direct mail.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm glad to be here. So I'm an MSP. I've been around for since the year 2000. And one of the things that we realized right off the bat is that marketing plays a really important role in how to be successful as an MSP. And, just like anybody else, I sort of, just started off, taking pot shots at what I thought was successful until I sort of figured out that, wait a minute, you know what, I'm addressing my clients not in the way that they want to be addressed, and I need to talk the same language that they are talking. And that as soon as I made that revelation, I started changing all of my marketing material to match what they the language that they understood and that they wanted. So I became very proficient, and we created a very fantastic campaign, which literally brought in like millions of dollars. So we started to expand that, and we got to be very good at it. And then we started actually using a lot of those campaigns, not only internally, but other MSPs wanted to use our campaigns as well. So fortunately, we were able to help out a lot of MSPs in the actually around the world on how to actually properly use the campaigns in such a way that would generate the best results possible. So I've been doing it now for probably 18 years using those campaigns, and they've been very successful since then.
Awesome. That's so good to hear. So there's a lot of misconception out there that direct mail just isn't worth doing. It doesn't work. I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of pushback when we talk about direct mail. So, obviously, in your opinion, it does. So, I mean, tell me a little bit about why it's worth doing, and why you have decided this is the way that you like to do marketing.
Yeah, and that's actually a really great question. And the reason why it's such a great question is because a lot of people like to do what is easy and simple, which is, hey, I've got an email list. Let me throw it through some kind of emailer campaign, and if I get a hit, fantastic, away we go. But one of the issues that is that you need an extreme volume in order to get a really small percentage of people that are going to respond to an email campaign. And I always talk to people, and I give them this exact example. So you fired off an email, and it's one of your email campaigns. When you receive email from a vendor that you don't want to talk to or even acknowledge, it takes on average around 3 to 4 seconds for someone to look at the email and then delete it. That's the average, 3 to 4 seconds. And people are processing a lot of email a lot a day. However, with direct marketing, the person, whether it's the gatekeeper or whether it's the individual themselves that you actually targeted to, needs to take the piece of mail, look at it. They're going to see that it's to them. They're going to then check to see where it's from. Then they're going to open it, and then they're going to open it and read it. That process usually takes anywhere between 11 to 12 seconds. So from a point of view that you are actually in front of the client, you are in front of the prospect roughly 3 times longer than you are than just sending an email bomb, where they just look at it, delete, and away it goes. So from that point of view, anytime you can be in front of a prospect 3 times longer is going to have a higher impact. Second, if everybody is doing email campaigns, then you sort of want to be the fish that's sort of swimming in the opposite direction. There's this famous expression in the marketing world where like the water is completely, like the sea is just full of red. And the reason why the sea is full of red is because all the fish are basically in one area and they're all chewing each other, which basically causes the ocean to be red. You want to swim towards the blue ocean. So if you're doing something that is completely different than, let's say, the next MSP, and your marketing material is amazing, you are going to stand out above everyone else.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. And I think that, I agree with you 100% that this is absolutely a thing that works. But I think a common thing is that we want instant results, and I think a lot of times people expect, like with an email, you might get an instant reply. Whereas with direct mail, you might have to wait a little bit longer. So, and you might have to do it a few times more to get the results you want. So typically, if someone's doing direct marketing, doing direct mail, how long do you think people have to continue to do this type of marketing before they start to see results? Like, what is your typical thing that you would recommend for folks to stick with it, I guess, to sort of start to see those results?
Yeah. And That is typically the main issue that people have, is
Right.
that they spend all this money. Maybe their material is beautiful. They send it out to the wild, and they're just expecting a whole pile of people to come in right away.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's not the way that it works. And the reason being is that you have to sort of catch the individual at the time that they're looking for IT services.
Mm-hmm.
On average, for any marketing campaign, and it doesn't matter whether it's email, whether it is direct, whether it's SEO, Google AdWords, it makes zero difference as to what it is. You should not expect results until 3 to 6 months minimum. We find that most people just give up too early. They're like, I'm done. That's it. I'm not doing this. Nothing came of it. Well, that's just because you haven't had enough time to go through it, and people haven't seen you enough times in order to make that connection. Okay, you know what? They've sent me something last month. Oh, wow, they sent me something the month before. Prime example, we do newsletters on a monthly basis, and we've been doing newsletters now for 13 years. And some of our prospects are still getting newsletters. And how I know that it works is that sometimes when I go in to meet with a client, there was this one client that actually kept all of our newsletters, every single one of them. I saw the stack on his desk, and I'm like, "You kept all of those?" He's like, "Yeah, there's great information in there." I'm like, "Okay, perfect." But I mean, I could tell that the guy had at least probably 4 to 5 years of newsletters on there. So don't be discouraged. If at the 6-month mark you're not getting any leads, you need to sort of figure out sort of how you're executing the marketing strategy, and we'll go through that later on. But definitely, 3 to 6 months is where you should roughly be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've heard that so many times where people have sent out one marketing campaign and they get nothing out of it. And they're like, oh, well, marketing doesn't work.
Right.
I'm not going to do this anymore. And it's like, nope, that's not how it works.
Yeah, the company that actually continues on and on and on will be the ones that will win out in the long run. The ones that give up too quickly, you have to ask yourself, why are you giving up too quickly? And if you didn't budget enough in your yearly amount to sustain the marketing, on average, the industry average is that you spend roughly about 4% of your revenue on marketing. So you should be looking at those types of values. If you, let's say you make $1 million, then you should be doing roughly about $40,000 in marketing. Well, $40,000 gets you a very far amount. But some people tie all their money into either Google AdWords or maybe even Facebook or Twitter. Or take a look at the whole entire amount and then figure out how to best allocate the 4% and where you're going to spend that money.
Yeah. I found that myself. It was just, you try one thing, switch to another because that didn't work. Then that didn't work, and you switch to another. I think the epiphany you had too, one was the messaging when it came to direct mail, but I'm sure that changed for everything you were doing.
Yep.
Once you have a targeted message, you're speaking in the language of your ideal prospect. But the question, like especially with direct mail, and I think it's applicable to everything, is where do you get a list? How do I, where would you recommend, if you're going to start with maybe small batch of direct mail, where would you get a list of companies to send to?
Yeah. And you know what? That was the first thing that we sort of we ran into. We're like, well, in our area, there's roughly, I think, something like 20 to 30,000 companies. And we're like, well, how do we get those names? I mean, yeah, sure. I know that there's some people down the street and there's a business park, but I didn't want to really walk all over the place to try to just grab down names as I was driving by. So we went to a company called Info Canada, and in the United States, it's actually called Info USA. And think of it as just a massive database of companies that are registered in obviously Canada or United States. And from there, you're able to actually filter out the types of businesses that you don't want to do business with. Prime example, in my area, I didn't want to do business because they're a little bit smaller for like hairdressers or smaller style companies that were like, maybe you knew that there were going to be like maybe one or two or three computers, and that's it. Well, that's a little too small that we were looking for. For us, we were looking for at least 10 workstations or higher at the time. So we did a whole pile of filters, and then we even filtered out for us, because we weren't going after the government. We sort of said, nope, don't give us any government or government agencies. And we really, really, really refined the list down to something that we were quite happy with, which was around 3,000.
Okay.
And it didn't mean that we were marketing all 3,000 at the same time. It just means that that was our list that we were going to work from, and then we carried on from there. So Info USA, I think it's called dataxleusa.com, I think is where the actual link goes to. But if you just type in Info USA into Google, it'll bring you to the website, and you can then navigate from there. Yes, it's a paid service, but that should be part of your 4% that you're going to be spending on your marketing. But it gives you that list that you may not other be able to figure out where to get it.
So it allowed you to filter down to exactly what you were looking for. And I heard you narrowed it down to 3,000. But if I'm maybe a one man nimble MSP, or maybe I've only got a couple, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, like what is a manageable list to start from for somebody in those shoes?
So we made that mistake. So in one of our campaigns, there's 3 mailers, and then we do cold calling in each of the 3 stages. In our infinite wisdom, we thought that 600 would just be a good number. Not manageable at all. Yeah. And we had dedicated people doing the cold calling, and then when the next campaign phase went out, we eventually said, okay, well, why don't we try 100 and work with the 100? And once we get the 100 down really good, let's stretch to 200. But that is as far as we go. And we've got, like I said, we've got dedicated people in the marketing. And the reason being is because not only are you sending out the mailer, but it's important that you do the follow-up call. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But if you're a small shop, let's say 5 people, maybe 6 people, start off with 100. 100 is actually a good number because you can gain your statistics right away.
Yeah.
Okay, you sent it out to 100. If 4% request a meeting, 4 companies, it's 4%, right? Yep. So that's a really good way to start. So I would recommend, if you're a smaller shop, definitely stick to the 100. Now, if you pull the name of 3,000, that means that you can do 30 campaign cycles.
Yeah.
Okay? It doesn't mean you need to do it all in one shot.
Yeah, I think you touched on that. We're going to talk about the whole process behind it. But yeah, that's what I found. If you're in the hundreds, you're just starting out, the call in between to verify that they got that was super important. The follow up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it's just otherwise you don't see anything, and that follow up could like you said, it could be sitting on their desk. Oh, I meant to call you, or our contract's not up for 3 months, so I wasn't going to call you till then.
That's right.
But at least you would have that data in those follow-up calls. You'd be able to get that further data to further whittle down the list. So you touch on some of your campaigns are 3-step campaigns. So how often do you think an MSP should send out campaigns? Let's just say in a given month or 6-week period of time.
Yeah. So if you're going to be doing, let's say 100 per shot, which I would recommend for most people when until you get yourself fully ready. You can process 100 campaigns in a week. So you send out the 100 mailers, so the direct mailers, and then it takes roughly between 2 to 3 days for the mail to actually arrive to the destination, and usually sitting on the person's desk in about 3 to 4 days. Then you use the other days, like days 4, 5, and 6, depending, on actually doing the cold calls. And you want to continually to do the cold calls until you get to a person. And we'll go through sort of the execution steps in a minute. But if you look at just 100, you should be able to do 4 sets in 1 month, because you just take a week, and then you do and then once at the beginning, at the end of the first week is when you're sending out the campaign for the next week.
Yeah.
So that you always have roughly 100 that you're working in, but you don't want to do it too fast, because you have to continually call until you have categorized that prospect, and that's going to be very important for your marketing campaigns.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, if you're going to do a 3-step campaign, is a 3-letter sequence is how most direct mails are executed. So Michael Stanson, before we jump to Andrew, is going to jump in, and we're going to dig a little further on that. He did have a quick question. Like, do you have examples of successful direct mail campaigns that have been successful? Like, you touched on that. You had one that was really, really successful.
Yeah.
What was that? Tell us a little bit about that campaign.
Sure, absolutely. So the first very successful campaign was what I call the first aid campaign, which is available at the Tech Tribe. So it's available to all you individuals that want to be able to take it down and use it. And the reason why it was so successful is because, again, it put the information in a way that people could understand very clearly, in plain English. None of my campaigns actually have any technical jargon in them whatsoever. None of them. If they want the technical jargon, they're going to ask for it, and then you know that they're interested in you. But in the meantime, you need to spur their imagination, and that's good. That I understand what they're looking for. And then once you get in the door, then you can slowly but surely integrate some of the technical jargon. So the first aid, the first aid campaign is 3 sets, and the first one basically is just saying, hey, this is who we are, this is what we're offering, but it's geared around first aid. On the back of it, there's some really cool information that is just good to know for a specific individual. Then the second one is much shorter, and it's colored slightly different. And then the third one is actually in red, which is basically saying, hey,
yep,
time to get going on the free 1 hour of service, or whatever you wanted to basically introduce yourself, whatever service you wanted to introduce yourself with. Sometimes it's cybersecurity maturity assessment. Sometimes it's just a review of your network. Maybe it's just backups. Whatever you choose, you can go inside the campaign, modify it, and then put in your own thing that you want to sort of go out with. So the secret of that campaign was actually the calling. Because we sent out 3 3 phases of that campain. They were basically, we were asking them, did you get our campaign? And they would say, no, not yet. Oh, not a problem. Let me send you out another one. And then if they got the second phase of it, we would say, okay, how did you like it? And they would be like, oh, wow, that's a really cool campaign. That was really neat. And then we just went further from there. But the calling, along with the 3 phases, is really, really what pivoted us much quicker into a much larger MSP than any of the other campaigns. And like I said, it's available to you guys on the Tech Tribe. You should be able to see it in the marketing section of it. And I'm sure that Andrea will be able to point you in the right direction.
Yeah, we'll see if we can dig up that link, and maybe we'll have Andrea post that in the forums.
Yeah, that's one that I think was pushed into Growably, and this was prior to when I joined the Tech Tribe. So
Yeah.
I'll have to do a little more research, but I know it's one we also since I joined the Tech Tribe, have put a fresh coat of paint on that one, and kind of made some updates to it. So I do know that that's something that we're going to re-release as well.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
Yeah, that we're working on right now to do that. So if it's not there, it's going to be coming. But I do know that it was something that was released in Growably prior to my joining as well. So more to come on that.
Perfect.
But yeah, I can do some digging as well.
Awesome. So Andrew's going to dig into the process with you now. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know
So
that
I was gonna.
we got process geeks on this show watching this
Yep.
today. I've got, let's see how many, we got 58 on live right now. So,
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you if you could. I know you've been alluding to it a little bit. Dig into that process a little bit. Walk us through a little bit, and also to kind of talk a little bit about how many people does this take? Because to me, it sounds like a lot of work. I know.
Yep.
I know what's involved. I've been there. I've done that.
Yep.
But talk a little bit about how many people are involved too.
Yeah. So the number of people that are usually involved, and we know because we actually did this, was one person. And now we just happen to have dedicated that individual to that particular task. So their job was to go out, get the 3,000 names. Once they got the 3,000 names, then they were to section it off into much more manageable groups. So for us now, it's 200. So then the very first thing that they do is they go out and they print the 3 phases of the campaign so that they're ready. So once you've got the campaigns that are ready, it's the first set that which is the largest one. You get it, you print it, you put it in the envelope, you put the sticker on it, and then off it goes into the mail. Okay. From then, they've got roughly, like I said, 2 to 3 days before the mail actually gets to the respective individual. At that point in time, that is when you start doing the calling. And the telephone number that you're going to get on the info USA might be incorrect. And if it's incorrect, you got to go look for the correct one. But if it is the correct one, this is sort of where you have to sort of get to beyond the gatekeeper. Okay, and then now you're into the cold calling section of marketing. The whole entire purpose of the marketing campaign is so that you can categorize the individual or the prospect. You want them to either be a competitor, with competitor, has internal IT, is a prospect, or is not a fit. And you really only want about maybe 4 or 5 different buckets of where these people are going to land. And the reason being is that you can target them differently. A prospect is someone that you are going to continue to market to. And the reason why you're going to continue to market to is that during the phone call, you figured out that, hey, how many employees do you have? Or do you have more than 10 computers? Or do you have an internal IT person? And what you're doing, you're even asking, do you already have an MSP? And what you're trying to do is you're trying to put them into one of these 4 buckets. And you'll, oddly enough, people are very, once you get talking to them, you can pretty much ask almost any questions you want, but really you don't want to have them on the phone for too long. You want to ask maybe 3 or 4 different questions. So once you figure out if they're a prospect, that means you're going to continue to market to them. With competitor means that, okay, they're with one of your competitor companies, maybe down the road or across the city. Has internal IT, which is another way that MSPs can actually supplement services to existing IT people that work inside of the business, or not a fit. In other words, you got 3 computers. Maybe I don't want to fully manage you. Once you've got them all labelized out, you continually calling all the rest of your contacts until you have touched base with every single one of them. Now, the next question you're going to ask is, well, wait a minute. I may not be able to get a hold of some of these people for 2 to 3 weeks. That's right. You continually call them, and that their name gets added to the next 100 that you put in for the next week. So you might, at the end of the week, calling would be maybe 125 prospects until you whittle it down. And then the next week, you might be at 170 because of the addition of the second week. You have to keep on calling them until you get them categorized. That is the secret. Once you've got them categorized, it basically becomes a golden list. And you probably hear the terms every once in a while. A golden list is basically, these are my people. I know that they exist. I know that I'm going to, they're a right fit for me, and I want to go after these clients. And that makes it really, really, really a great list and a valuable list. Because once you know the type of client they are, you can then cater your campaigns directly for them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah, absolutely. So through this entire process, you're working toward categorizing your list. So
Yeah.
ultimately, at the end of these campaigns, you're going to have this ideal list of prospects that you're going to be using going forward for all of your marketing campaigns.
Correct.
So, like you said, a golden list. So, question I have for you then is, what does success look like for this marketing campaign? Is it really to build your ideal list, or is it obviously you want to generate leads, but is it really all about building your list as well? Or what does success look like, I guess?
So success looks different to everyone. But so I'll mention from an industry standard. Okay. So if you're doing a standard campaign, 4%, anywhere between 2 to 4% of getting meetings is considered a success in the campaign. Turning one of those clients into a managed services is considered a success. So 1%. So really, these are the numbers that over the entire campaign. So let's just say that you had a campaign of 1,000. Well, we'll keep it nice and simple, okay? So if you had 1,000 names that you ran through it, then 4% of that is basically 40 meetings. And out of those 40 meetings, 4 of them turned into actual clients. That would be considered a success for that campaign. Now, you've got it. Most people are going to go, well, wait a minute. I just did 100 campaign. I sent out 100, and I did not get my 4 meetings, and I didn't convert one of them into a client. Well, it's over the entire campaign and not just a portion of it. Prime example: when I first did it, the first 200, we didn't get any meetings or convert any of them into a client. But when we did the third one, like the third 300, we actually got 6 meetings in that one, and 2 of them converted into a client. But as we started adding more and more and more every 100, some would be 0 leads. Some of them would be 5, 6, 7 leads. So over the entire campaign, it should be roughly about 4. But the question here is, what does success look like? And when you first start doing campaign direct mailing, my opinion is that you focus on creating the golden list. Why? It's a lot easier. And once you've got the golden list, you know who you're going to market to from now till whenever. And that's called drip marketing, which is you're constantly giving them something. Okay. If your goal is to set up a campaign and hey, I want to turn you into a client, you're going to find that either you're being a little bit too pushy, or they don't like the method in which you're constantly going after them. Okay. Drip marketing by far is the best in long-term marketing strategy, but a campaign like the first aid campaign is a really great way to build that list. And in my opinion, build your list. So success in the first direct marketing is to create your golden list. And then once you've got your golden list, man, now you've got everything you need to continue on, ensuring that you are getting the results that you want based off of the amount of efforts that you put into it.
Yeah. So James Bradshaw asked, so you're playing the law of averages. It is. That's what marketing is.
That is 100%.
Yeah.
100%. If you're going to go after only 100 people, then your average is going to be probably a little out of whack than what it would be over 1,000. I mean, even when they produce like statistics for national polls and all that, it's a minimum of 2,000 to 3,000 people that they're polling in order to get a closer average. So yes, the more times you do it, the better that you're doing your averages, and you will start to know after a long period of time that if you've got 1,000 names, you can pretty well guarantee that you're going to get X amount of leads and you're going to have X amount of clients converted. You will know those numbers for yourself.
Yeah. So it sounded a little bit to me that if I'm starting this new direct mail, I'm adding that in there. My two goals, one for me is I'm a systems and process junkie. Like one for me is to create the process and the system that I can just and make the modifications to it. The second thing would be my primary goal is to have a list, have that golden list where you have got good data. You've got actionable data to work with. Everybody's segmented into the proper buckets. And when the next campaign rolls out, you've got you don't have to go through that teething process over and over and over again.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And then you will find that you're spending less and less money on a campaign because now your marketing is really direct.
Yeah.
Your first campaign that you're ever going to do, it's like mass marketing. Because
Yes.
you don't know, is that the right person for you, right? So once you get the lists going down and down and down, your 3,000 names might come down to 600.
Yeah.
So that's 600 clients, 600 prospects that are a good fit for you and that are going to be a prospect that you're going to continue on marketing. So if you did it correct the first time, then the second marketing campaign, which will be to your prospects, is only 600, which is 1/5 the amount that you started off with.
Yep.
And then once you call them and some of these that are in the prospects will actually maybe turn out to be in another category because maybe you didn't categorize them right, or you find out that maybe they're just not a fit for you at all. Like maybe it's just a type of company that you just do not want to do business with. Well, you slide those into the not a fit. And the good thing is that if you keep this in a database that has those categories, when you go and grab a whole pile more names and you start inserting them into your database, well, you know how databases aren't exactly always clean? Well, the new names that you're bringing in, you may have already called them. So you don't have to recall them again.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
So I didn't get this comment come in. Tom Fox had asked. So again, a couple people had questions, not being able to find it. We'll fix that for you folks. So don't worry. Let's see, Tom. Let me see, where did his question go? Why am I missing it? So he asked. Oh, there it is. How can Growably be used for direct mail? So Tom, I'm going to prelude to our next show. We're going to piggyback off of this one. Our next monthly growth clinic was April 10th. We are actually going to show you how to set up a direct mail campaign inside of Growably. Because I think even when you would work with Nigel a few years ago, he didn't have Growably rolled out. So you talked about the technical aspects of maintaining a database.
Yeah.
Like everybody has access to that now. So the excuse of not having a central place to do marketing is gone. Now we're going to show you how to actually do that inside of Growably. So you'll definitely want to sign up for the next monthly growth clinic because we're going to be doing a full Growably tutorial on how to do exactly what Jim just talked about. How to put people into those buckets.
Yeah.
how to pull people onto call lists. We're going to show people there's a direct dialer right inside of Growably. So if you have people and staff that can make these calls, all they have to do is click on a button in Growably and it will make the call for them. So yeah, we're going to show you that. So definitely Andrea's going to be spreading the word on the next one because I know that's going to be a good one. People want to know how to execute what they learn on these shows like this from Jim. So let's talk a little bit more. We're going to dive into the weeds a little bit because there were a couple questions that people did have. So one of them was from Omega Techs. They ask, are you putting the letter into a regular envelope or something eye-catching? Tom Fox did answer this question, but we're going to let you answer that question.
Yeah. So, great question, because it goes back to the if you just see a whole pile of emails that look the same, is anything going to stick out? Or if you're taking a look at all these different mail that's coming in, is anything going to stick out? So we actually would superimpose either the word caution or urgent or like a red star or something that would be eye-catching in order to attract the person's attention to open it up. For example, for the ones that we did back in the day, and we still have the stamp. So we created a stamp that had the sort of the Red Cross symbol on it, and we stamped the envelope, and we would actually handwrite the person's name, address, and company name on there. And handwriting is something that is it's a lost art. I know. I mean, even one of my kids, my youngest kid, at one point, they stopped teaching cursive writing in school. And I'm like, wow. So it's so far gone that when somebody actually sees a handwritten, address, they're like, whoa, what's this? Yeah. So it has to be eye-catching. It has to be somewhat unique. Sometimes you can even buy, those gold diploma stars.
The gold foil stamp. Yeah.
The gold foil. It makes zero difference. As long as it's going to separate you from everyone else, they will open it. And then once they open it, then they look at, oh, wow, this is like really well done. Most of the papers that they're getting is like white, a couple of colors, and maybe some quick information, and it's like throw it out the door.
Yeah.
But if something is really well done graphically, and it surprises them, like they will take more interest in reading it. Like, for example, there's the one where it's the oh my god, I forgot the name. What are those things? What's that campaign that?
Yeah. I forget what it's called.
It's like a fortune
teller. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's instructions on how to make them. Now, we all as adults remember long ago that we used to have those in schools, and some of them are like, wow, this is amazing. So not only will they read the content, but they'll flip it and, oh, that's right. That's how you actually make it. So the marketing's got to be different. It's got to be unique, and the envelope should be as unique as the actual campaign itself.
So you touch on two keys just with the envelope: handwriting the address and having a real stamp. I know I found that myself because I had one of those little machines that'll put the stamps on there. Was it Neopost or something?
Exactly.
We thought that was cool because it's efficient, but that's what I found. Like the stuff that we sent out that had printed labels and the scanned stamps on them, it was great because it was easy, but they didn't work as well.
Yeah.
And that's what we found, putting real stamps on them. And then, by the way, somebody's probably thinking, okay, I don't have time to write 100 handwritten envelopes. Hire an intern. Like, get a college intern, pay them $50 to handwrite envelopes for you. Have them send in a writing sample, pick somebody with good handwriting. Pizza money, it goes a long way for college kids.
So about that. So, I mean, we had 3,000, and I think after I want to say after the 600th, my hand was getting quite like really sore.
Absolutely.
And because what we would do is not only would we handwrite the address, but we would actually put in a yellow sticky
Mhm.
on the actual mailer itself, and we would address it to the individual. Like it would say, "Hello, Bob, blah 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 blah," and then we would sign it. And being a technology guy, I'm like, oh man, there's got to be a better way.
Yep.
So what I found online is that you can actually convert your lettering
Yep.
into a true type font.
Mhm.
Yep.
And very specifically, even if it's a cursive or just the letters. So what we did in the long term, because I mean 3,000 is a lot. Yes, you can hire interns, and we did actually for the first while, but we were just making so many of these
Yep.
that we actually had stickies made
Yep.
that had my handwriting on it, but it was computer generated, and then away we went. Now, when I say computer generated, it actually looked like my handwriting.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
if you guys can figure that out, I would suggest you do that. But I mean, we even went so far down as to trying to figure out the precise color, Pantone color of blue,
Yep.
to make it look exactly like
Like a Bic pen.
a Bic pen.
It hasn't changed since what, the 40s or 50s. Those blue Bic pens. Yep.
Exactly. So, I mean, there are creative ways, but to do one of those sticky labels that's pre-printed with Times New Roman.
Yeah, it's to me, it screams somebody's trying to sell me something when I'm taking it out of the mailbox. Like
Yeah.
we're human nature.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Camera. Let me see if Car Mercado 007. So he must be a 007 fan. So we would like to start using shiny envelopes with a bulky item inside. What do you think? So it's lumpy mail.
Lumpy mail, it works.
The good old lumpy mail.
Really does.
Yeah.
It really does. Now, I don't know how it is in the United States, but in Canada, our thickness of mail is measured. So
Yes.
it's the same. Okay, so you got to be
Yep.
really careful about the lumpy mail because it gets converted from standard mail to almost like a priority type mail. So my suggestion is to go to a mail center.
Yep.
Give them your first one and say, how much is this? And can I put it through the regular mail? And they'll be able to tell you right then, right there as to whether you can or not.
Yeah, because the thing with the United States here too, it could vary from post office to post office.
I was just going to say that. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I've had
use
that
the
happen
same
with our
post
mail
office.
guide. He would go to 3 different ones and get 3 different quotes. I've had that happen multiple
Wow.
times with campaigns.
So,
Yep.
yeah. So fortunately, I mean, we always went to the same one, so we sort of knew. But it's a really good point. I mean, if there's multiples, you got to really and if there's more than one post office fairly close, why not get multiple quotes and see who's the cheapest, right?
Exactly.
So somebody asked about the shiny mail. You have to check with your post office because a lot of things nowadays are scanned.
Yeah.
So like electronically scanned, and it tells the mail where to go. Having something that is completely and utterly shiny on the outside may affect the scanners. So I would highly suggest that you go to your local mail office and figure out if it's a viable option. But I love it because when we did the first class campaign, yes, absolutely. We did shiny silver, thicker style envelopes, and it worked amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, who gets a shiny envelope with their name handwritten?
Exactly. At that point, like it sticks in your brain. You're like, I don't care who sent it. Like I'm going to remember that.
That's correct. Yeah.
I'm going to do a shameless plug for physical stamps, by the way. So Andrea I don't think I've told Andrea this. The June stamps that are coming out with horses on them here in the United States, my wife was the photographer on those. So
Oh,
the
very
whole
cool.
set of stamps coming out that will be released in June. So that'd be awesome to see some direct mail campaigns in the tribe with the horse stamps on them. So
Yes, very cool.
We'll keep on sending you,
exactly.
mail.
Yeah.
And every time you look at it, you go, love you, honey.
And
Um,
that first class campaign that you mentioned is in the tribe now as well as the fortune teller one. Those are both out there
Yeah,
as well.
that's perfect.
Yep. So Andrea, we got another Andrea Corona. She asked this, do you think this will work the same with email marketing campaigns? I believe when that question came in, we were talking about the segmentation and,
Right.
the more technical aspects of maintaining a list.
Yeah.
But if we don't get that, Andrea, let me know. We can clarify that.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, email, if you know what the email address is, then you should be able to easily figure out from the domain name what the company is, and then get the telephone number / address to the individual so that you can send them direct mail. In email marketing, you need a much, much, much larger sample base in order to get the type of response that you're going to get from direct mail. Direct mail, it has a higher response. I mean, statistics galore out there, and it's just because the way people process their emails. They look at it,
Yep.
delete, 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 until and keep in mind, Outlook by default does not bring down the graphics.
Exactly.
So you can't even rely on something that's nice and cool and looks fantastic because Outlook is stripping off your graphics right away.
Yeah. Yeah. Email just got, I mean, what was it in March, beginning of this month, I think was the Yahoo, that was the Gmail.
Yeah,
It
Gmail
changed
and
a lot. So deliverability is more of an issue. So yeah, email's cheaper. Jim said you got to have a higher volume to reach, the statistics aren't going to be the same as direct mail, but you can do it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a tougher slog going forward, which is a good thing because I don't, I hate cleaning out my inbox, but
in reality, though, I mean, keep in mind that you can actually touch a client or a prospect more than one time in a month. Prime example. Let's just say that in the beginning of the month, you send out a direct mailer. A direct mailer. In the middle of the month, you send out an email. And then at the end of it, maybe you send out a newsletter.
Yeah.
So that's three touches in a given month. Our touch ratio is roughly 6 times a month. Now, I know that not everybody can do that, but we have our own marketing department, and we invest a lot in our marketing. So the more touches that you can do in a given month, the better. So think about it that way as well.
Perfect. A couple of questions that did not come in there. Kevin Walsh asked, have you ever done postcard type mailers? And Chris L piggybacked off of that too. What is your view on doing postcard mailers?
Yeah, so postcard mailers are one really easy to do and pretty cool to do. It depends on the message and the graphic nature of it. Again, if it looks boring, it's going to get tossed away. Okay, try to stay away from the cartoony type stuff. In my opinion, of course, everything here is in my opinion. But if you were to receive something very cartoony at home and you're looking at it, what are you thinking? Like, sort of. So that's the impression that you should be giving forward in your professional career to other individuals. Well, you sort of want it to be nice and flashy, made well, and you want them to say, you know what? Somebody took time and effort to actually make this.
Right.
And if you look at all of the stuff that is in the tech tribe, it actually looks like somebody take really good time to actually put that stuff together. So getting back to the postcard, if the postcard is done well, absolutely. I mean, geez, postcards, you can even fire those off twice a month.
Right.
Because I know that sometimes people put information in it, and sometimes postcards are just, hey, are you looking for we had a whole entire campaign about is your current IT provider treating you poorly?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, you touch a nerve when they need to hear it. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
going to get a certain percentage to respond to that who have a problem. Let's see here. Michael Stansats with Canada's new anti-spam laws. How are you doing email marketing when you technically can't send cold emails?
Which is why we do direct mail.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just, we all, I think every country has spam laws in place.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yet our email boxes are still full of, I got 4 this morning. I have no idea where they got my email address. Never signed up for it. Like, I get irritated. So think about what you're doing on the other end when you just start bulk emailing people. 1, it's illegal. 2, it's just annoying. To me, you've burnt an opportunity for me to do business with you. That's just how I feel. But again, in my humble opinion, I have a visceral reaction to it. So
yeah, we learned that a long time ago, and when we heard that Canada was going towards this anti-spam law, we stopped our email campaigns and have never done an email campaign probably like 6 to 7 months beforehand. And all we do is direct mail. It's all we do. Now, of course, every once in a while, we're going to get the, hey, why don't you save a tree and email me? And we're like, great. What's your email address? And then we put them into the email side of our marketing. But I mean, it's very few people in comparison to the number that we send out through direct marketing that, most of the comments that we get back, even if they don't want our services, this is really cool. I mean, great stuff.
I think that is a bomb we'll leave right at the end. Is what you just said there. Our whole point of marketing is to get someone's attention.
Yep.
Like, really, if we boil it all down, that's the hardest thing for us to do, is to get somebody's attention where it clicks in their brain and they register who you are. So, to me, that's a golden gem to think about with direct mail. Like, that you have a greater opportunity for that happening than you do in someone's inbox, especially if it's unsolicited. So, Jim, absolutely. I know we are at the top of the hour. I want to be respectful of your time. We want to thank you so much for being here on the Behind the Geeks this month. We appreciate all of the bombs that you dropped today, my friend.
Yes.
Kudos to you.
Thank you.
And one last thing, do you have a tribal perk currently in the tribe where people can maybe get a hold of you to get some assistance with direct mail?
Other than not now, I don't. I mean,
Okay.
I did a while ago. Unfortunately, I don't. But if there are individuals that need a higher level of customization on some of the campaigns, then we can actually we can help them out. No doubts. I mean, we actually just got one yesterday from an IT company from the tech tribe, and we do that all the time. So if you just need that higher level, let us know.
Yeah, just tag Jim in the tech tribe. He'll respond. So lots of people saying good information. Thank you, Andrea, Kevin, Ernst, Michael, anybody who turned up live. We appreciate having you live. But Jim, thank you again for your time today, my friend. And I look forward to being able to catch up with you behind the scenes too soon. So yeah, we appreciate having you on the show today, my friend.
Excellent. You're most welcome.
Thanks, Jim.
And good luck. Excellent.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap us for today. So, Robin Grayson, great session. Thank you. So, we've got more coming up. We've preluded to it. So, if you're watching this on the replay, we appreciate you watching the replay. So, if you have questions, be sure to ask those questions. We want to make sure that we get them answered for you. But be sure to tune in for the next monthly growth clinic. On April 10th, the MSP Growth Clinic is going to be all about how to set up direct mail campaigns inside of Growably. So we're going to show you how to use that awesome tool that you have access to. So definitely tune in. Anything else coming up in April that we have, Andrea? I forget who we're interviewing.
We have Jamie Warner who's going to talk
That's
a
who.
little bit about how to maximize and improve your proposal process.
Awesome. So we've got 2 growth clinics, and we're going to be interviewing Jamie Warner. You folks know Jamie from Envirosoft. Excellent product. I'm looking forward. I haven't actually been live with him. He and I have interacted on the tribe for years, but I've not actually interacted with him one-on-one. So I'm looking forward to that one for sure. So
Yeah, it should be
let's see
good.
here. Claire asked what time the one on April 10th. So let me go over to April 10th is going to be 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I don't know what time zone you're in, Claire, but hopefully you'll be able to attend live, ask some questions. We're going to do, like I said, we're a deep dive on how to do this inside Growably. So we're looking forward to that one. So, all right, Andrea, thank you for hanging out. Glad you're feeling better. So yeah, if you have questions, tag us in the tribe. But we look forward to the next growth clinic on April 10th. Everybody have a great day. Be safe, and we will see you inside the tribe.
Bye, everybody.